2 years ago, I first bumped into her. She was with her mother, and her name was Anya, as she had told me then. She must have been around 3 years old. She was such a sweet and bubbly little girl that no one could take their eyes off her. Then her mother took her away. That was the first and last time I had seen her. Today, 2 years later, I saw her photo at my dad's office party. It was in the wallet of my dad's office manager, Angad. Suddenly, her memory returned to me, and I blurted out her name, Anya. "How do you know Anya?" Angad immediately asked. "Oh, no, I don't know Anya. I just met her once, 2 years ago. She's very sweet, and her mother too. How are they both? Can I meet them?" Hearing this, Angad became a little sad. Just then, Aroshi asked, "What happened? Is everything okay?" "Anya's mom had an accident last week, and she's..." Angad was still telling me when his phone rang. He immediately apologized to Aroshi and picked up the call. On the other end, his mother said, "Angad, now you tell Anya, she never listens to me. She still hasn't eaten and keeps insisting that I should bring her food, saying she will only eat from my hands." "What should I do?" she said, before handing the phone to Anya. As soon as Anya took the phone, Angad immediately said, "Anya, why aren't you eating?" "No, I won't eat until mom comes," Anya immediately replied. Despite Angad's repeated attempts, she wouldn't listen. Then, in a slightly angry tone, Angad said, "Anya, please eat now, or I'll get angry with you." Meanwhile, Aroshi, who had been watching Angad from a distance, saw him getting upset and immediately went up to him and asked, "What happened? Who are you talking to like that on the phone?" "It's Anya. She's stubbornly sitting there, saying she won't eat until her mom arrives. Now what should I do?" Angad said, looking a bit sad. Aroshi took the phone from him and said, "Tell me this, what did Anya call her mom, and what did her mom call her?" "She called her mom Mom, and her mom called her Anya, but why are you asking all this?" Angad immediately responded. Aroshi then immediately spoke into the phone, "Anya, it's mom speaking. What happened? Why are you troubling grandma? Why haven't you eaten yet? Mom, when will you come?" "I will only eat when you feed me," Anya said, crying. "Anya, don't cry, dear, your mama's good girl, right? Mama is with God right now, so mama can't come. But yes, if you eat by yourself today, I will send an auntie to play with you tomorrow." "Really? If I eat, then an auntie will come tomorrow?" Anya asked happily. "Yes, an auntie will come to you tomorrow afternoon. Her name is Aroshi," Aroshi said. Hearing this, Anya became very happy and immediately said to her grandmother, "Grandma, give me food, I'm hungry." Then Aroshi said, "Anya, now quickly eat your food and go to sleep, okay?" "Okay, Mama. Good night. Bye," Anya said and hung up the phone. Aroshi also ended the call and handed the phone to Angad, saying, "Children should be understood with love, not by scolding them." "But what about tomorrow?" Angad immediately asked. "Don't worry, tomorrow I'm free, so I can come," Aroshi replied. As soon as she said this, her dad arrived and asked her to come with him. She left with her dad from there. Aroshi is a 38-year-old woman who is married, but the man she married only did so for her dad's money. When Aroshi and her dad found this out, her dad immediately took her to live with him because he loved his daughter very much, more than he probably loved his son. The next day, Anya was very happy because her auntie, whom she was going to meet, was coming today. What's more, she had not bothered her grandmother at all since morning. Seeing her like this, her grandmother was very happy. But by afternoon, when no one had arrived, Anya became very sad and went to her room. When her grandmother saw her like this, she said, "Anya, let's do this. Let's eat something first, and then we can wait comfortably for your auntie." "No, I won't eat until that auntie comes," Anya said, pouting. Just as she was saying this, she heard someone's footsteps. She turned around and saw an auntie with her dad, holding several packets in her hands. Anya happily said, "Is your name Aroshi?" "Yes, but how did you know my name is Aroshi?" the auntie asked. "Mom told me," Anya immediately replied. Okay, first tell me why you haven't eaten yet. Mom also said that I would come to meet you only if you don't trouble your grandma, Aroshi asked Anya. Yes, but I wanted to play with you, Anya said, hugging Aroshi tightly. Then Aroshi said, all right, we will play, but first you need to eat. Hearing this, Anya immediately went and finished her food, and then she started playing with Aroshi. Before they knew it, evening arrived. As soon as it was evening, Aroshi said, Anya, now I have to leave. No, please don't go, Anya said, holding Aroshi's hand. I will come again tomorrow. Then we will have a lot of fun together, but yes, you will not bother grandma at all, and you will eat your food on time, okay? Aroshi said, looking at her. Okay, but you will come tomorrow, right? Promise? Anya said, extending her hand toward Aroshi. Angad had been watching them for a while. He was about to stop Anya, but he saw that Aroshi placed her hand over Anya's and said, I promise. After making her promise, she walked towards Angad and asked, can I come here every day to meet Anya? Angad was a bit surprised to hear this, but then he said, yes, of course, I don't have any problem with that. At that moment, her mother said, what problem could I have with Aroshi coming over? After so many days, Anya is so happy. This is the first time since Anu left that she's this happy. The next day, when Aroshi arrived at Angad's house, she saw that Anu was eating her food without any fuss. Now, Aroshi started coming to Angad's house every day. One day, even when Angad was home, Aroshi asked Angad to give her his phone number so she could talk to Anya whenever she wanted, even while she was at home. Angad immediately gave her his number. Just like that, 3 months passed without anyone realizing it. And in those 3 months, they both became so close to each other without even knowing when it happened. But Angad had a fear. He knew that even though they wanted to be together, they could never be because Aroshi was 8 years older than him. He didn't care about these things, but society would never accept them. Still, he couldn't stay away from Aroshi. A few days later, it was Anya's birthday, and she invited Aroshi. Aroshi couldn't refuse, and she agreed. As soon as she reached the restaurant, Angad and Anya arrived at the same time. The three of them went inside together. They sat at the table they had already reserved. Soon, Anya cut the cake and fed both of them, then everyone had dinner. After the meal, as they were about to leave for home, Aroshi almost bumped into a table and was about to fall, but Angad caught her hand and said, be careful, you almost fell. After that, they all left, but there was someone else who had been watching them from nearby. It was none other than Aroshi's father, who was very angry after seeing all of this. He thought that Angad was after Aroshi because of her wealth. But this time, he wasn't going to let anything happen because he couldn't bear to see his daughter unhappy again. The next day, at the office, Aroshi's father called Angad to his cabin. His son was also there. When Angad entered, Aroshi's father told him to come in and close the door. At first, Angad found this a little strange, but he did as Aroshi's father asked. Then he said, Sir, you called me suddenly, was there something important? Yes, how much money do you need to stay away from my daughter? I know you're only close to her because of her wealth. But I won't let you ruin her life, Aroshi's father said angrily. Sir, you're misunderstanding me. I have no interest in your money. Aroshi is my daughter's friend and she likes her, and she is very happy with Aroshi. And I will do anything to ensure their happiness. But maybe you are right in a way. If this relationship moves forward, society will never accept it. So, I will have to stay away from her. But I request you not to stop Aroshi and Anya from meeting each other because they love each other very much, and they might not be able to live without each other. After saying this, Angad left. As soon as he left, Aroshi's father began to realize how wrong he had been about Angad. He only cared about Aroshi's well-being. Now, thinking about his thoughts, he felt regret but was also happy. That evening, when everyone was heading home, Aroshi came to meet Angad. He also greeted her with much affection, but no conversation took place between them. The next 2 to 3 days passed in the same way. Whenever Aroshi came to meet Angad, he would come up with some excuse and leave. When Aroshi came to meet Anya at her house, Angad wouldn't come in front of her. When Aroshi noticed that Angad was ignoring her, she decided that it was time for her to speak her heart out. The next day, during lunchtime, she called Angad and said that today she and he would have lunch together because she had something to talk to him about. Angad agreed without any hesitation. They both went to a restaurant near the office, where Aroshi had already booked a table. As they sat down, a waiter brought them each a cup of coffee. They sat in silence for a long time. When Angad noticed that Aroshi still wasn't saying anything, he asked, "Did you want to talk to me about something? Because I still have a lot of work to do." "Yes, I do have something to say, but I'm not sure how to say it," Aroshi said hesitantly. "But what is it that you want to say, that you're thinking so much about it?" Angad asked softly. "Look, I don't know if a girl should even say something like this, but you'll never say the things I want to say, so I'm saying them instead. So, the thing is, we've known each other for the last 3 months, and every moment spent with you in these 3 months has been the most beautiful moment of my life. Before meeting you, I had forgotten myself, but after meeting you, I've started to live my life. And Anya, she's so sweet that anyone would fall in love with her. Over these days, I've grown so close to both of you, I don't even know when I started loving you. Yes, I've fallen in love with you. I know it might sound a little strange, but it is what it is. Do you love me too?" Aroshi didn't finish her sentence and just looked at Angad. When she saw that Angad wasn't saying anything, she added, "Could you also please say something, or will I keep talking alone?" Meanwhile, Angad was looking at her, thinking about how to react to this. He was extremely happy inside, but still, he said to Aroshi, "You're my boss's daughter, and you're also 8 years older than me. I've only talked to you because Anya really likes you. But I have never seen you in that way," Angad said. "I am sorry, but I think now we have nothing left to talk about, so I will leave." After saying this, he left. Angad left, but Aroshi seemed frozen in place. She didn't understand what had just happened. She sat there at the restaurant until it was closing time. Then a waiter came over and told her, "Madam, we need to close the restaurant now." As soon as Aroshi heard this, she left. On the other hand, Angad had already reached home, but he was very upset. He seemed like he had been crying a lot, but still, he tried to convince himself that he had to stay away from Aroshi because it was for everyone's good, including Aroshi's. The next 2 to 3 days passed similarly. During this time, Aroshi tried to talk to Angad, but he started ignoring her, coming up with excuses. He didn't even come in front of her, knowing exactly what she would say and what she would ask, but he had no answers to her questions. Then one day, when Aroshi was about to say something to him, Angad told her that he had some work and left. He went straight to the president's office and took a day off. As he was leaving, something struck him, and he immediately went to Arkash's cabin. He went inside and said to Arkash, "Arkash, please talk to your sister. You know well that it's impossible for us to be together, but she doesn't understand. If you are not there, please explain it to her. And yes, here's my number. If she agrees, let me know. I've taken a leave for tomorrow, so I won't be coming to the office. I will stay as far away from her as possible so she won't have any trouble forgetting me." After saying this, he left. That night, when Angad reached home, he found out that Aroshi had come to meet Anya in the evening and left for her home after 2. Meanwhile, when Aroshi's dad and brother arrived home, they were surprised to find out that Aroshi hadn't come back yet. If she was going to be late, she would at least inform her brother, but today, they had no idea where she was. When they tried calling her, the phone rang multiple times but there was no answer. After trying several times without success, her dad became worried and immediately called the police commissioner. As soon as he made the call, the police sprang into action. The next morning, when Angad woke up, he found Anya standing next to him. He was surprised and asked, "Anya, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," Anya said, looking a bit sad. Angad, concerned, called her over and asked, "What happened? Why do you look so sad? Did Grandma scold you?" "No," Anya replied quickly. Did you get hungry, or did you get hurt? Angad asked, still worried. No, I'm fine, Papa, Anya said immediately. Then why are you so sad? Because Arushi auntie is sad, that's why Anya is sad, Anya replied. Hearing this, Angad was first a bit surprised. He then asked, what do you mean? Why is Arushi auntie sad? And why is she sad? Because you're not listening to her, Anya said innocently. Before Angad could respond, his phone rang. When he saw the caller ID, he was shocked to see it was Arkash calling. He quickly answered the call. Hello, Angad, come home right now, Arushi's dad said from the other side. When Angad heard this, he became worried and asked, why? What happened, sir? Is everything okay? Arushi, is she okay? Why aren't you saying anything? Angad asked with concern. She's been missing since last night, Arushi's dad replied and immediately hung up because he couldn't answer Angad's questions. When Angad heard that Arushi had been missing since last night, he became alarmed. Just then, Anya asked, Papa, what happened? Tell me, is Arushi auntie okay? Hearing this from Anya, Angad came to his senses and said, no, dear, everything is fine. Don't worry, stay with Grandma, I'll be there soon. Saying this, he quickly got ready and left for Arushi's house. When he reached Arushi's house, he saw that the police had already arrived. As soon as Arushi's dad saw Angad there, he walked straight up to him and asked, Angad, do you know where Arushi is? Angad immediately replied, no, sir, I haven't seen her since afternoon yesterday, but yes, she did come to my house in the evening to meet Anya. But when I got home, she had already left. Just then, his phone rang. It was Arushi's number. As soon as Angad saw this, he quickly picked up the phone. After answering, he learned that Arushi had been kidnapped, and the kidnappers had demanded a ransom of 5 lakh rupees. They also threatened that if the money was not paid, they would kill Arushi. When Angad heard this, he said, no, you will get the money, but please, don't harm Arushi. As soon as he said this, the person on the other end cut the call. When Arushi's dad found out about this, he wasted no time in deciding to pay the ransom. He said he would go there himself with the money, but Angad stopped him from doing so. He said, no, sir, you can't go there. I will go myself. After all, they called me, so I will go there personally. But why do you want to go? It's dangerous, Arushi's dad immediately said. Because I cannot leave Arushi alone there, Angad replied and left. By 6 p.m. that evening, Angad had reached the location where he was supposed to go. But there was no one there, just a letter with an address written on it, directing him to another place. He immediately headed there, and the police, too, arrived behind him. Although he wasn't aware of it, the kidnappers had figured out the police's involvement. The kidnappers quickly took the money from Angad and said, you think you're very smart, bringing the police with you. Now that you've brought the police, we won't let you take this girl so easily. You will pay for what you've done, and your punishment will be that you'll only leave with this girl's corpse. After saying this, he fired a shot at Arushi. Angad immediately stepped in front of Arushi, causing her to be spared, but the bullet struck Angad in the back, and he fell right in front of Arushi. Seeing him fall like that, Arushi screamed, Angad. When the goons saw this, they started to run away, but before they could take a single step, the police arrived and apprehended them. Meanwhile, Arushi sat by Angad's side, crying uncontrollably. Every time Angad tried to say something to her, she scolded him and silenced him. Then, Angad, in anger, said to her, Arushi, if I don't tell you what's in my heart today, then maybe I'll never be able to. What? What do you mean? You had said yes, I know, but that was a lie. Everything I said before was a lie. But today, I want to tell you what's in my heart. I also love you, not from today, but probably from the day I first saw you. And the way you handled Anya, I was amazed because calming her down is very difficult. But I was scared because this society would never accept our love, since you are 8 years older than me. Though, I don't care about that. If two people love each other and respect each other, then that's all you need to spend your life together. And besides, I am a father of a daughter. People might say something about me, I can tolerate it, but I can't hear anything bad about you. That's why I was trying to stay away from you. But now, I can't even stay away from you if I want to. But yes, when you will remember me, you will find me with you, or whenever you're sad, I will always be with you. Saying this, Angad took the ring from his hand and placed it on Aroshi's finger. He then took off his chain and gave it to Aroshi, saying, "Give this to Anya. You know, I always used to worry about who would take care of Anya after me. But now, that's not a concern, because her mother is with her now." After saying this, he hugged Aroshi. Within a short while, the ambulance arrived, but by then it was probably too late, as Angad, holding Aroshi in his arms, had already left this world. When Angad's mother found out about this, she couldn't bear the shock, and within a few days, she too passed away. A year later, one day Aroshi was sitting in her room, thinking about Angad. Sometimes she smiled, and the next moment she became sad, sometimes she even cried. Seeing her like this, her father became even more depressed. He called his son, Akash, and told him that he should go and explain to his sister that her whole life was ahead of her. How long will she stay sad like this? The relationships I have found for her, let her at least look at them, he said. Listening to this, Akash, though unwilling, went to Aroshi's room. He knew his sister could never think about anyone else after Angad, but he still went. As soon as Aroshi saw Akash, she wiped her tears and said, "Oh, brother, you're here? Didn't you go to the office today?" "No, today is Sunday, the office is closed." "Oh yes, sorry, I completely forgot." When you get out of your old memories, you'll remember today too. Have you seen yourself? What have you done to yourself? Now you need to move on from Angad's memories and realize that there are other things in life. By the way, Dad said he found some potential matches for you, Akash said. "Brother, please, if you're here to talk about those matches, I want to let you know that I'm not getting married." "Then do you want to live like this, sad for the rest of your life? Do you even know how hard it is to live alone? To live life, there must be a reason, someone to be with you. You can't live alone. Why don't you understand, D?" Akash said with a bit of anger and sadness. "You're right, brother. I used to think the same, that I should end this life. But what can I do? The punishment for living has been given to me. But yes, he has given me a reason to live, Anya. Now Anya is the only reason I'm living, and I don't want any other reason." Just then, Anya came running from outside and said, "Mommy, I'm hungry, feed me." Hearing this, Aroshi smiled faintly and stood up to take her. Meanwhile, standing a little further away, Aroshi's father was cursing himself. Why did I push Angad away? If I hadn't done that, maybe my daughter's life would have been different today, maybe it would have been something else.